Hello everybody. So is safety the hidden key to healing conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, long COVID, fibromyalgia? So it's very hard for your body to heal when you don't feel safe. And when you know how to cultivate safety, when your body finally feels safe, it begins to shift out of survival and protection and into healing. Safety isn't something that just happens. It's something that you can cultivate moment by moment through the way you relate to your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your needs, and to others. That's an exciting concept that we can shift into more safety on a moment by moment basis. So if you don't know me, my name's Simon Pimenta. I had MECFS and fibromyalgia for around 8-9 years. At one point I couldn't walk for 1 minute, but I learned strategies that helped me get back to life, get back to work, get back to doing all the things I love doing. Slowed down a little bit due to an injury, but life is still amazing. And I always wake up in the morning raring to go. Okay, when I had MECFS, actually I was always looking forward to going to bed. All right, and what helped was learning mind, body, and practical strategies. And so I now create a lot of content, a lot of free content to help you move towards your health goals. So if you do want more help, do subscribe to my YouTube channel, check out the playlists. I've got playlists on a number of topics. So if you're watching live, do feel free to say hello, tell me where you are in the world. If you're watching the replay, just put #replay. And let's start with a very simple, brief check-in. So if it's safe to do so, I invite you to close excuse me. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Obviously only do that if it's safe to do that. I invite you to take a breath, breathing in through your nose, as long as that's comfortable, into your belly, and breathe out of your nose, allowing the out breath to be a little longer than the in breath. This activates your parasympathetic rest and digest healing state. If it feels safe to do so, then I invite you just to tune into your body. Just acknowledging the sensations in your body without analysis, interpretation, or judgment. Having the mindset that whatever is going on in my body right now, it's okay. I can be with this experience and I will survive. I can breathe in the calm, and as I breathe out, I can allow my mind and body to relax, soften, and let go. So you can carry on listening with your eyes closed if you like, or you can open them when you're ready. If you'd like access to the mind-body reset, a short strategy to help you get better connected to your body, which can help you make sense of signals that the emotional brain sends via emotions, sensations, and symptoms, then I'll let you know how you can get that video at the end. So let's dive into this topic. So someone has said hello. Let's just have a look. Jenny, hi Jenny, nice to have you join. So do feel free to say hello. As I say, if you're watching live, I see some more people have joined. So let me know where you are in the world, and let me know your interest in this topic. Really interested to hear from you. So let's get into this topic, creating safety from the inside out. So the first area I want to focus on is physical safety. So for people living with conditions like ME, CFS, long COVID, the body has often learned to live in a state of chronic alertness. And this can be characterized by tension in the body, shallow breathing, monitoring symptoms, checking the body. And all of these just tell the nervous system, I'm not safe. Karim says hello as well. Nice to have you here, Karim. Okay, creating physical safety in the body means teaching your body that it no longer has to brace. Let me know if you can relate to that. You know, when I had MECFS, let's say I was going downstairs to prepare a meal, I would kind of tense up because I was thinking my energy's going to run out. But actually, tensing up just made my energy run out more quickly. So ways to build physical safety. Number one, relax the body consciously. So if you just tune into your body right now, you could just tune in, soften your shoulders. Often we adopt a posture that is a stress posture. I remember working with a client who kind of had her head to one side the whole time and her shoulders a bit tense. And I said, are you aware that you're sitting in an asymmetrical way? And I said, I invited her to just straighten her head, drop her shoulders. And I said, how does that feel? And she says, it feels really strange. And I said, why do you think that is? She wasn't sure. And I said, is it possibly because you're so used to sitting in a stress posture that has become familiar? And she was like, oh yeah. Okay, so just be aware of how you're holding your body right now. And is there any way you can just gently soften your posture? Okay, maybe unclench your jaw. You might just stroke your forehead or your head. Just feel how that feels. I can feel already, I feel that kind of, ooh, that feels nice. All right. The next thing is just to be aware of our breath. Just as you breathe slowly, then that's sending the signal to the brain. Oh, I must be safe. Okay. And that gentle exhale whispers to the brain, it's safe to let go and relax now. Next thing you can do is create a calm sensory environment. Gentle lighting, soft sounds, familiar scents, warm textures. I like playing around with essential oils, especially when I go to bed. Put a bit of lavender on my pillow. It's just a nice smell. What about you? Do you use scents? Is there a particular smell that you like that would be nice to have? You know, you don't have to, for instance, light a candle if you're just going to bed. You could just put in a small little bowl some hot water and then add some essential oil, and that will help diffuse the oil. So the next thing is meeting basic physical needs. So ensuring that we're warm. You know, I was working with a client earlier and that I hadn't turned the radiator on, so I said, look, I'm just going to have to just pause a moment to put the radiator on. And the room was cold, so I put my little hat on. And in the past, I would have just sat there feeling cold. In fact, that's how I ended up with, that was the final straw when I got MECFS. I was at a friend's house and it was quite cold, and I sat there. It was kind of November, December. It was November actually. And I just didn't say, actually, I'm feeling quite cold. And by the time I said to her, look, have you got a spare jumper because I'm feeling cold? You know, I'd got a chill. And that was the start of 8-9 years of MECFS. Okay, so meeting those basic physical needs for warmth, rest when we need it, hydration, nourishment, gentle movement. Okay, meeting these needs, listening to the body and saying, actually, I need to take note. Doing that consistently rebuilds trust, showing your body that it's cared for and not ignored. And actually your emotional brain, which wants you to be safe and fulfilled, takes note of when you're listening to those body signals, which is telling me right now to have a little swig of water. So every time you listen and respond to your body's signals, instead of overriding them, you're shifting that old story of my needs don't matter. Now you're saying my body matters, I matter. So Titanic 1821 says, I use essential oils as well, especially now for Christmas. I bought an oil that has all those typical Christmas scents in it, like cinnamon, for making my room a bit more cozy and comfortable. That's lovely. I love that. So the next thing I want to cover, and so let me know if there's a particular smell that you like. So next thing is emotional safety, number 2, because I want to talk about 6 areas. Okay, so emotional safety, allowing and expressing emotions. So many of us learned early on that emotions weren't safe. It wasn't okay to show anger, sadness, or fear, because we feared that this made us unlovable or too much. And maybe we had that experience. Excuse me. So we learned to suppress them and essentially over time repress them. So suppression is the conscious decision to not act on an emotion. Repression is the subconscious, automatic pushing down of emotions. We don't realise we're doing it. So if we keep suppressing, then that can lead to an automated response. But the thing is, what is suppressed and repressed in the body doesn't disappear. It lives in the body as tension, fatigue, or pain. And so creating emotional safety means allowing yourself to feel without judgment, without trying to fix or suppress. So practices to cultivate this. Number 1, pause as we did at the beginning. And just name what's present. I feel anxious. I feel sad. I feel frustrated. I feel some tension in my body. So naming supports regulation. When we allow those sensations, we tune into the sensation, we notice where the emotion is in the body and breathe into that part. When we express safely, either by writing, speaking, even if you're on your own, you can speak out loud, you cry or vent in some way, that can help move to let the energy out. You can move your body, okay? And that, sometimes when my energy feels a bit stuck in my body, I'll jump up and down and shake, and that can actually be very energizing. Okay, obviously do it to the degree that's okay for you. Okay, so write, speak, cry, move your body. Next one, self-validation. Self-validation. Okay, remind yourself it's okay to feel this way. My emotions are valid, and my emotions are safe to feel. Over time, your brain learns that emotions aren't threats. They're messages. And I used to be someone who's very good at ignoring my emotions because I had the belief that if I showed my emotions, that made me weak. And actually, I realised, it's a strength. Okay? So doing these things work because there's a part of us that is feeling that way, and that part needs to be acknowledged and heard. And I've seen people make significant shifts by taking them through a process called the See It method. SEEIT. Okay? And that stands for state, engage, embrace, integrate, and transcend. And when they really get to know that part of themselves that is feeling scared, upset, etc., and they're able to make space for that part of them, they can experience regulation. And people say actually I feel calmer, I feel more alert, I feel more relaxed. Okay, so when emotions become safe, symptoms soften because the body no longer needs to shout to be heard. Okay, and that's what the emotional brain does. It sends signals to get our attention. Okay, this is a slightly different perspective than some people take with kind of mind-body approaches. For instance, Dr. John Sonno talked about the brain sending those symptoms to distract us from the difficult emotions in an approach that I've learned and teach people called the mind-body reconnect. We have the perspective that the emotional brain is sending those signals to let us know that we're not paying attention to an emotion. Okay, if we don't listen to the emotion, it starts sending symptoms to get our attention. So the next thing, number 3, is relational safety. So feeling safe to speak and to be seen. So this is about knowing it's okay to be yourself, even if others disagree or don't understand. Many people with chronic health conditions have learned to keep the peace. They become people pleasers. They avoid rejection or conflict. However, silencing yourself keeps the nervous system in that state of feeling unsafe, because that authenticity feels dangerous. So to rebuild relational safety, it's important to practice truth-telling. And we can start really small. I remember being in this heated discussion with a couple of family members, and I was actually just saying, okay, is that the way you see things? I see things differently. So I allowed that disagreement. It might be that you need to say, actually, that doesn't work for me. Release over explaining. You don't have to convince anyone to believe you to be safe. Okay? Often we get into over explaining the condition, wanting people to understand it, but there are some people who actually are genuinely interested in understanding the condition, but there are others who aren't actually that interested. So trying to persuade them, explain that to them, is actually a waste of breath. Okay? Seek safe connections. Seek out people who listen without trying to fix you. And this can help your system relearn trust. Okay? So it's important that we have enough people around us who get us, to help us deal with those people in the world who are a bit more challenging to deal with. So I see a few more people have joined. Do feel free to say hello in the chat. Let me know where you are in the world. So each time you speak honestly and stay present in your body, you teach yourself, I can be real, I can be authentic and still feel safe. Let me know in the chat, what's your experience of that? There are times when I realise it was difficult to speak up, but it was really important to do it. And the more I do it, the easier it gets. And Claire Caldwell, who created the Mind Body Reconnect, which is what I'm trained in, says sometimes something happens and she internally says, do I need to deal with this? And the wise part of her says, yes, you do. Because if you don't, you'll be the one who it hurts. Okay? So let me know in the chat, have you had that experience of maybe it's been a little bit challenging to speak up, but you did so and you felt better for it? Let me know in the chat if that's the case. If you felt worse for it, also interested to know, but that tells me that it's something that you can practice, that you need to practice until it becomes easier. So number 4, mental safety. Okay, calming our inner dialogue. When the mind loops on fearful thoughts, let me know if that applies to you. Just put the word loop in the chat. I'll never get better. What if this lasts forever? The body reacts as if the danger is real. The brain doesn't distinguish between something that's real and something's imagined. If I'm lying on the beach or imagining lying on the beach, and that's something I enjoy doing, then I'm going to start generating those feelings of relaxation. The mind knows the difference, but the brain responds the same way. So, Jenny says, I was definitely a people pleaser. I now start practicing to tell my truth. Amazing. It's definitely challenging, but I feel better afterwards. That's brilliant. Well done. That's fantastic to hear. Let's celebrate you for doing that. Well done. Thank you for sharing that. It's really important that we practice that, okay? Because the way I look at it is we don't help others by putting up with their dysfunctional behaviour, okay? So you can't stop every thought, but you can change the relationship you have to your thinking. I've made a video about this, how to respond to thoughts, kind of sharing there's 3 ways of responding to our thinking. So do check that video out. If you want to watch it, you could just remind me by putting the word 3 in the chat, and I will post the link below this video. If you're watching on Facebook, I'll send you the link. So you can't stop every thought. You can change the relationship you have to your thinking. Okay? Building mental safety means recognizing fearful thoughts as old protective patterns. We can use gentle pattern interrupts. We can say, that's my fear voice. I choose not to follow it. Or, thank you, wounded self. Excuse me. Thank you, wounded self, that part of us that's feeling fearful, for trying to take care of myself. Sorry. Thank you, wounded self, for trying to take care of me. Actually, I've got this, and I'm going to take care of you. So we can reassure ourselves, right now, I'm okay. I get clients to look around the room. Is there a tiger in the room? No, I am actually safe in this moment. Refocusing attention towards something life-affirming, comforting sounds, nature, humour, gratitude. All of these things can actually help build that mental safety. As I say, the goal isn't to eliminate negative thinking, but we don't have to believe everything we say to ourselves. When the mind no longer fuels the fear, the body receives the message. The danger has passed. Okay? I used to be very good at having thoughts and going, oh no, I'm having this unhelpful thought. Now I can notice thought, pop it on a cloud, just observe it, let it float off. Okay? So, number 5, spiritual safety. So, operating from fear rather than trust. So, this isn't about religion. You don't have to be religious to explore spiritual safety. It's about the operating system you live from, whether it's fear operating system or a trust operating system. When we operate from fear, we try and control, predict and fix everything. And this is an impossible task that keeps your body on guard. Good news is we can uninstall that fear operating system. We can install the trust operating system. When we operate from trust, we can lean in to a quiet knowing that life and the body are designed to heal when conditions are right. So we can cultivate trust by pausing daily and affirming, even if I don't understand right now how this is happening, healing is happening. We can reflect on moments you've already come through, proof that your body is resilient. And that's why I start the resilience group coaching calls, which happen every 2 weeks, with people sharing a win. And then we all give each other and ourselves a round of applause, pat on the back, double pat on the back, fist bumps. I always see smiles on people's faces when they're doing that. Okay. So, spiritual safety is also about connecting with something larger than yourself. Nature, music, compassion, gratitude, stillness. Spiritual safety is about remembering that you're not broken, that you're just learning to trust again. So number 6, the role of our needs and meeting them is the root of safety. At the heart of all safety is having your needs met. When basic emotional, physical needs weren't met in the past, your nervous system learned that safety wasn't guaranteed. And these early imprints can resurface when you ignore your body today. Pushing through, pleasing, repressing or suppressing instead of listening. So rebuilding safety through needs. You do this by identifying daily what you need. When I train people, we look at a range of areas to consider in terms of balancing our needs. So one of the things I did today, because I knew I wasn't going out this evening, and I was working from home a lot, is I went and did some work in a cafe. And that was nice. I had a really nice chat with the person on the counter, talking about festivals because they were playing some music she really liked. And, that just kind of fed my soul a bit. I sat with other people, didn't really talk to other people whilst I was working, but it was just nice to be around people. So consider what ways you can meet your needs. I was chatting to someone this week who said, it's hard for me to physically connect with people often in the week, but they recognise that they could connect with people in other ways, through a little Zoom call, by having a telephone call, sending messages, etc. So consider ways in which you can daily meet your needs. Needs for time to pause and check in, warmth, quiet, company, expression, reassurance. And it's important to meet those needs consistently, okay, not just when we're in the crisis. When a need can't be met immediately, remind yourself that, okay, I know I have this need for X, whatever it is, we'll meet that need as soon as we can. Remember, you're reparenting your system, showing it that this time your needs will be met. Every time you meet a need, your body breathes out a little more. Every unmet need tells your system we're still not safe. So a few points to ponder. Safety can feel foreign at first. I definitely had that experience of starting to feel safe, felt a bit weird, okay? But repetition can build it. There are times when we go into the freeze response because we don't allow ourselves to express our emotions for fear of upsetting someone. If that's a pattern you recognise, it is something you can change. It's useful to interpret symptoms as signals, not threats. And we can shift from creating boundaries as a self-protection mechanism to self-connection, okay? So shifting from being defensive to more loving, okay? Joy, play, and co-regulation are important. So lightness and laughter are powerful cues for safety. So look for ways in which you can do that. A while back, when a friend of mine was going through some challenging times, we'd have a Zoom call. And I said to her, do you want to play a game? And she was like, nah. I said, let's just play one. And every time we had a Zoom call after that, she said, can we play a game now? All right, so let's talk about integrating it all, bringing it all together. Physical, emotional, relational, mental, spiritual, safety. All these layers communicate to the nervous system. When even one area begins to feel safe, then the others will follow. Safety is not built by reading or positive thinking, it's built through lived experience. Small, consistent actions of listening and taking care. Healing begins when your body believes that you're safe. And safety is something that you can create moment by moment. So I mentioned the mind-body reset. This is it's a 4.5 minute technique, or 4.5 minute video where I walk you through this technique. And practicing this can help you get better at connecting to your body and getting out of your head. Because we can't always rely on our thoughts, the things that we're saying to ourselves. So if you'd like that, I did mention it last week, it's very nearly ready. So comment reset below and I will share the link. If you're watching on YouTube, sometimes these messages disappear. Maybe I'll try and see if I can't save them by those things. So, okay, a couple of people are saying 3. So I will link the video to that, and I see you're on Facebook, so I will share that link with you. If you'd like more tips, join my Facebook group. I post something every day to give you food for thought around what can support your healing. Follow me on Instagram or TikTok. If you've got any topics you'd like me to cover or any questions, get in touch. If you want help now, you're most welcome to have a no obligation session where we just look at what you need and whether we're a good match. If we're not, no problem. If we are, we'll talk about how to move forward. Okay, so Linda's saying reset, Karim saying reset. I shall share that with you. So thanks everybody for joining me. I always like to know what your takeaway is. What's one little takeaway from this session? What's one action you could take? Let me know in the chat. Titanic says, thank you for today's session, Simon. You are very welcome, Jenny. Lovely to have you and everyone else joining me. Just makes it more interesting for me. I appreciate your input. So keep going. Dare to dream big dreams. Keep taking steps no matter how small. Keep going. You've got this. Wishing you great health. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now.